Hey guys, I just want to shoot this quick 5 minute video and then I gotta get going. Um, I just read a really interesting article. It was by Matt Walsh and it was something to the effect of I looked up every case of an unarmed black man shot by police in 2019 and here's what the left and the media is hiding. So I'll put a link to that article in the description box. Now there was a paywall, but you only had to pay 99 cents to get over the paywall. And honestly, I think Daily Wire is definitely something worth supporting. Um, I found it very interesting because he goes through every single case, and in I think it was two cases, it was like, hey, the behavior of the police officers was unacceptable. And these were two cases that you never hear about in the media. So I find it very interesting the cases where there actually was unacceptable behavior, the media doesn't want to talk about those cases. But cases where it was very clear that the suspect was in the wrong, the media wants to jump all over that and say, oh, well, Black Lives Matter, and, they want to get people all riled up. So I find this very interesting that the people who the people who actually were victims of police brutality, who are black, aren't getting any attention, but those who were criminals attacking police officers, those are the people that people want to scream Black Lives Matter for. So I I found it very interesting. Go check out the article. He goes through the 14 cases and he goes through and talks about them very objectively, addresses things in a very factual manner, and he says, here's what happened in each of these cases. So you don't have to sit there and say, oh, well, a black person was shot by a police officer, it must be racism. I really hate that. I really hate it when people jump to conclusions. I really hate it when people base reality on feelings and based on other people's feelings. I hear people every now and then who will say, well, I know a black person who feels that the police are racist and feels that police are just out to murder black people. I'm like, well, what do the facts say? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that people's feelings, they're important in a certain sense because that person is important. But in terms of epistemology, your feelings aren't relevant. And I hate to sound kind of blunt with that, but, epistemology means basically we're trying to understand the world around us and trying to understand it factually and objectively. And just saying, well, I feel that police are out to get black people. I'm sorry, but that doesn't determine reality. That's not a statement of fact, and it doesn't prove anything. And also when people say, well, my friend was pulled over for DWB, for driving while black in a white neighborhood, I'm like, well, I mean, how well do you really know this person? And even if they were, that doesn't prove that police are out shooting black people. The most you can push that is saying, well, an officer noticed somebody in the neighborhood who isn't usually there, and they wanted to find out, is this person here on, does this person have business being here, or is this somebody who is here to maybe cause problems? So you put yourself in the shoes of the police officer. Their job is to protect people. Their job is to say, hey, that person isn't usually around these parts. I know everybody in this town, and that's somebody I don't know. Maybe I need to check this out. So unless the police officer tells you, well, I pulled you over for driving while black, I mean, how do you really know that? I mean, come on. So I know a lot of things I've said here people might take issue with, but the one big takeaway should be, hey, what are the facts? What can you prove? And in the case of police use of deadly force, the narrative that police are just out there killing black people for fun, it doesn't line up with the facts. If somebody feels otherwise, then, I mean, maybe you can pray with that person. Maybe you can, give that person a chance to vent. But at the end of the day, as adults and, you know, people who are training to become adults, all of that energy needs to be directed towards, hey, I need to have a fact-oriented view of reality. I need to have an objective view of reality. And I need to have a view of reality that is based on fact and not based on feelings. And that applies to politics, that applies to sociology, that applies to faith. You know, if you believe in God because you feel God is real, I'm sorry, but that kind of faith is going to be shaken very, very easily once a crisis hits. And that's not what our faith should be based on. So, anyway, I've kind of spat out a lot of opinions, and I will put that article in the description box. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is Greg, out.